Coming up on this week's edition of Whether or Not, we have Marissa Lautenbacher here with a feature on our show's history. It will certainly be a blast from the past. We also have Rodden here with an exclusive forecast for the upcoming weekend, and of course, nature in the news stories that will include ticks, mosquitoes, and the Great Barrier Reef. All that and much more here on Whether or Not. Well, thanks for joining us here on another great edition of Whether or Not. I'm your host, Michael Priante.
And I'm your forecaster, Rodden.
Well, Ann, it's just been a gorgeous week we've had here in Happy Valley. Temperatures were near 80 degrees for one day this week, and it was just gorgeous. Those blue skies, something you don't see this often here in State College.
Yeah, here in State College, we did not see a cloud in the sky for about a week, and people were out. Students were loving the weather. They were out in full force in shorts and T-shirts, so it was a great day to be outside.
That's right. I certainly was outside playing some Frisbee, having a catch with my friends, and, well, I just hope that this weather's going to continue. So, Ann, what's your call for this weekend?
You know, the clouds will return, but and we are tracking some rain as well, but things do brighten up a little bit later on in the weekend, but I will have more on that later in your forecast. All
right, and we'll get tuned to you later in the show, but right now, let's check out some great nature in the news stories.
A Penn State-led research group has been selected by NASA's Astrophysics Division to build a 10 million cutting-edge instrument to detect planets orbiting stars outside of our solar system. The team, led by an assistant professor of astronomy and astrophysics at Penn State, was selected after an intense national competition. When completed in 2019, the instrument will be the centerpiece of a partnership between NASA and the National Science Foundation. The instrument is named NEED, derived from the word meaning to discover or visualize. NEED will detect planets by tiny gravitational tug they exert on their stars. NEED will be built over the next 3 years in laboratories at Innovation Park on Penn State's campus and partnering institutions.
Ticks will soon be surging in numbers across the Northeast this year, following an above-average winter. The University of Rhode Island's Tick Encounter Resource Center performed a tick survey which listed a high tick encounter index for the region, which means that you may be seeing more ticks than usual. The mild winter, coupled with a wet spring season, may lead to this influx of ticks populations. Usually a cold winter and the fluctuations in the freezing cycles can help to deter the rise of ticks. However, that is not the case this time around. With the increase in the tick population, however, taking precautions such as wearing long clothing when hiking through the woods or through large vegetation and applying insect repellent on certain parts of the body can help to prevent getting bitten by a tick, which may carry the deadly Lyme disease.
A map of the Great Barrier Reef's beached corals along Australia's northeast coast recently revealed that a large portion of the reef has been slightly to severely damaged. After extensive dives and flyovers, the map paints a devastating picture of the damage that has occurred in recent months. The bleaching is caused by abnormally hot waters warmed by El Nino and global warming. The warmer temperatures cause the coral's food source to become toxic, forcing the corals to get rid of it. Eliminating this food source turns the coral white and potentially sets it on a path to starvation. This reef is home to more than 1,500 species of fish, 6 of the world's 7 marine turtle species, and 30 species of whales and dolphins. The reef is a tourist powerhouse, supporting about 70,000 jobs and pumping more than $5 billion into the Australian economy. This damages not only of the reef, but of jobs and other living species that depend on its survival.
The Zika virus has been one of the top health concerns in the medical community, especially within the country of Brazil, where this year's 2016 Summer Olympic Games are being held. Hundreds of thousands of visitors will be visiting Rio de Janeiro to watch the Games, and the government is starting to do something in order to prevent the spread of this disease. Officials convened for a summit in Maceió, Brazil, to combat this growing epidemic. The result of such summit brought more than 200,000 personnel to go out and start the treatment of certain areas that might be susceptible to the formation of this disease-carrying mosquito.
Hello, I'm Ann Rodden with your forecast. Rain we had on Thursday will continue on into Friday, but things do start to turn up a bit later on in the weekend. Let me show you what I'm talking about. A low-pressure system is bringing widespread rain across the East Coast. That means rain for us here in Center County. Embedded within this system of rain, we do see a little bit of instability, so we cannot rule out a rumble of thunder or lightning. So if you are planning anything on Friday, just be aware of that and continue to check in the weather for Friday. Different story though on Saturday. That low pressure system sweeps off the East Coast. Behind the cold front, we are seeing some lingering clouds with a mixture of sunshine. It's not going to be as warm as it was on Friday, but Sunday, high pressure system builds over the region. Sunny skies, a little bit warmer for Sunday. Let's talk numbers. A high of 67 degrees for Friday, or showers with a rumble of thunder as well. Rain does continue on into the night. 44 for your low on Friday. Saturday picks up a bit, but not as warm as it was yesterday. Your high is 62 degrees, mostly sunny. Saturday night dips below 40 degrees. Your overnight low, 38 degrees for Saturday, partly cloudy conditions, but Sunday looks to be a nice day to end your weekend, 65 degrees and plenty of sun over the valley. Up next is a feature from Marissa on the history of Weather or Not.
Produced by Penn State meteorology students, Weather or Not is currently in its 15th season by our current members. I wanted to know how the show came to be and how the show has evolved since its beginnings in 2002. I interviewed the alumni of the show during the beginning seasons of Weather or Not. Joel Gratz, Season 1, and the founder of the show, Brian Monahan, Season 2, Jeff Jumper, Season 4, Caitlin Roth, Season 6.
Currently, Joel Gratz, founder of the show, works in Colorado after his time at Penn State.
So I am the founder and CEO of a company called OpenSnow.com that does snow forecasting for skiers and snowboarders, primarily looking to find fresh powder.
Joel recounts some of his favorite segments of the show and how the show came to be.
The show and the name Weather or Not, I think, was just one of those things that was percolating in our minds, and it seemed to be fitting enough to go with. And so I don't believe that we ever thought that it would be going for 15 years or 13 years after we graduated.
Ryan, Jeff, and I, and our two mentors, Paul and Marissa, sat down in the fall. We had an idea where we were going to go, but we didn't know, any of the specifics or any of the details of this show. And I think the most exciting part for all of us, and for me especially, was not only being able to produce a show, but also to create it from scratch and take nothing and now put it into our first Weather or Not show, which hopefully goes for years and years to come.
We tried to do something called Look Up, Look Out. And so it was trying to make fun of meteorologists. We would be looking up at some weather phenomena, some cloud, we would explain it. And then, of course, because we weren't paying attention to where we were going, something stupid would happen. We would fall over, we would run into a tree or something like that.
Brian Monahan then took over the show after Joel graduated in 2003. Brian said that the show was based originally off of Weatherworld.
I remember it was based off of what we did for Weatherworld, or what they did for Weatherworld, the Sure Bet segment, which I know they still do, or at least recently we're still doing. We did this thing called Picks, I remember, where we had this trophy that we passed between us. We would make some sort of long-range forecast prediction, maybe for the next week's show. I think the show is aired on Thursday, so it would be for something between that Thursday to Thursday, and we would have a battle between the three of us, and at the end of the season, somebody won the trophy.
Brian is currently working as an on-air meteorologist at WSB TV in Atlanta. Jeff Jumper joined the show in the summer of 2005. He recalled how happy he was to have the chance to better his broadcasting skills while still in school.
I learned a lot of the basics that I needed to use getting into the professional field of meteorology through Weather or Not. I think that was the biggest piece that I could take out of it. Develop the weather forecasting skills that we got in all of our classes, but to develop it in a way, helping each other out to try to become better broadcasters and ready ourselves for the real world. And I think that was one of the best things that we were able to get out of it.
Jeff previously worked for Fox 43 in New York, but is currently the new state meteorologist for Pennsylvania. Caitlin Roth also joined the Weather or Not family in 2007. She was part of the first all-female Weather or Not team. Caitlin recounted a few of her favorite features and what she took away from being on the show.
Like, I know one girl was from Pittsburgh, and they did this thing in her city called Rain Day every summer, where it was just like, basically everyone came out and celebrated. It was this big festival, but it was, you know, the theme was based on rain, and so she kind of did a story about that. So the thing that's so invaluable about Weather or Not, if you want to get into local TV, is it teaches you to do all this extra stuff that they don't tell you you're going to have to do, but that you'll probably end up having to do working in local TV. So I didn't necessarily know it at the time, but it was so beneficial to learn how to write stories, read stories, and do feature reporting.
Caitlin has also started a new job. She is celebrating her one-year anniversary at Fox 5 in Washington, D.C.
This show has benefited so many Penn State alumni in helping them in their career paths. I just want to say thank you to Penn State Meteorology Department, the alumni of the show, and Marissa Ferger for helping to keep this show alive and well. This show still feels like the same with our features, stories, and forecasts that we bring to Center County every week. Even in this past season, we've had some major changes to our show. Our new graphics, the set, and the presence on social media. Whether or Not will still continue to grow for the next few years. For Whether or Not, I'm Marissa Lautenbacher.
Thanks for that feature, Marissa. Let's recap the weekend. So we have rain on Friday, mid-60s for the rest of the weekend. We dip down a little bit on Saturday, peak back up again on Sunday. Conditions do let up a bit on Saturday, but beautiful sunny skies on Sunday. Let's take a look at what to expect for next week. Pretty interesting story. We start at 75 on Monday, but then dip down to below 60s on Tuesday. Then they start to rise again. The temperatures will remain above average, but pretty normal for the rest of that week. But conditions will be mostly cloudy for the rest of your week, but a beautiful day on Wednesday.
Well, thanks, Ann, for your forecast. Well, it looks like this upcoming week won't be as great as last week, but it's sure looking to be a pretty decent one.
Yeah, it's not as good as it was last weekend. Beautiful sunny skies. We do see some clouds for next week. It gets a little bit lower in temperatures, but it's going to be decent.
All right, well, that's great to hear. But now let's turn to your Weather Whiz quiz. Earlier in the show, we asked you, what is the record for the most consecutive days without rain in State College during the month of April? Is it A, 6 days, B, 9 days, C, 12 days, or D, 15 days? Well, if you guessed C, 12 days, you are indeed correct.
Yeah, as we know, April showers bring May flowers, but that wasn't the case this past week here in State College.
That's true. We had about 10 days of no rain, and of course we had some rain on Thursday, so that sort of broke the streak. But you know, it's the last 2 weeks of the semester for most students here at Penn State, and many people, like myself, are unfortunately graduating.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and I know this is going to be my last show. It is, the big world is headed for me, and hopefully I can find a career in meteorology. I've had a blast in the show working with Brian and Marissa and Mike, and I'm just going to miss it a lot. But of course, I know that next semester we will have a great team coming in, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the future of the show holds.
Yeah, we'll definitely miss you for sure, and filling in your shoes is going to be pretty tough, I will say.
That's right. Well, let's sign off for the last time, because that's all the time we have for this show. For one last time, I'm your host, Michael Priante.
And I'm your forecaster, Ann Rodden. Have a wonderful day.